Welcome to this week's episode of trying to stay quiet and record while my son sleeps. Hello, welcome to Caffeinated Cast-On's YouTube channel. My name is Therese, also known as Caffeinated Cast-Ons. Good morning. It is, I don't know what today is, Sunday, December 8th, and this is episode 49 of Caffeinated Cast-Ons. I am a North Texas based knitter, and this is my video version of Ravelry project pages. So I'm taking you through my knitting projects, what I'm working on, the progress, any hiccups along the way. I am caffeinated, and yeah, welcome. It is a very gloomy, rainy day here in North Texas. It's been raining the past couple of days. Very chilly. I've got a thick cozy pullover on and just really enjoying the first couple sips of my coffee. It has been a little bit. I took off for Thanksgiving here in the States, and then our household got sick. I got another cold. My son dealt with an ear infection, a stomach bug. It was a little bit crazy the past couple of weeks, but I think we are hopefully in the clear now. All right, so I've got a finished object to talk about, some whips, new cast-ons, and some upcoming project plans. So let's get into it. The whip that I have, I actually don't have it with me because it was a beanie that I donated and it's already been donated. But it is the Manhattan hat. I'll put a picture of it here. I did take a picture so you could see that. So typically I think this hat, it's the Manhattan hat, and I can't remember the designer, but I'll leave that information down below in the description box. All the project pages will be linked there. But typically this hat is knit, I believe, in worsted. But I had some leftover yarn from knitting my novice cardigan in the Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy, which is a DK yarn. And so I was looking on the project pages, like whenever you're on the pattern page in Ravelry and you click projects, it has the projects that everyone else has made with this, all their project pages. And so I was looking through those and I saw a couple people did knit a DK version. And so they had plenty of yarn, so I did that. I believe I went up a needle size. I think the pattern calls for a US size 5. I went with a US size 6. And that was great. I really liked how the fabric came out. What else? And so it's just a 1x1 rib beanie. Talking about the yarn, leftover yarn. So whenever I was knitting my novice cardigan, I was pulling from two different separate cakes of the yarn, holding that double. And so I had about like half and half a cake, which is probably almost a full skein. Maybe a little bit less because it probably wasn't actually half. It's hard to tell with the cakes. But I did measure, or I did weigh the completed beanie. I want to say it was like 75 or 76 grams of yarn. So that should be plenty for a full intact skein. I do have one more skein of that Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy, and I really like the way the beanie came out. So I'm kind of tempted to make one more of those. And then what other notes? For that beanie, there are two different versions of decreases that you can do. One is knitwise decreases, and you end up having to turn the beanie inside out for your finished object. And then I believe you can do purlwise decreases, which means the beanie is already flipped the right way, but I think you have to do a little more work since it's purl decreases. I just did the knitwise and it looked fantastic. I really loved it. It was easy to follow. So nothing too difficult there, in my opinion. It was a very easy beanie, enjoyable beanie. and you'll see why I think so. Even more so here in a little bit. Yeah, but that hat I donated to my town has a couple of like little tiny pantries around town that you can stick in food for those who need it. Food, water, whatever it is that you need to put in there. I started putting beanies in there a couple weeks ago, I believe. And so that beanie just went in there with some socks that I had finished. First project I'm going to be talking about are my Hermione Everyday Socks. I switched the bag. I did have them in this like knit pearl bag that I got from Prep Eclectic, but I ended up switching my projects around a little bit. Sorry, I thought my son woke up. I think he just coughed. So I am knitting these on 9-inch circulars, US size 1. Here is the sock so far. This is where I was last week. I have a little witch's hat, progress keeper. And so since, well, I guess technically not last week, 2 weeks ago, probably, I have knit this much. I am just about done with the leg. I think I have 1 or 2 rows in this pattern repeat, and then I can start the heel. So I haven't picked it up probably in 2 weeks, like since I knit this the first week, and then this past week I haven't picked it up at all, just because I know I need to pay attention to where I'm at on this sock before I start the heel. So I haven't really knit on these a whole lot this week, but I am knitting these on Madeline Tosh, on the Tosh Merino light base, which is, I want to say 100%, yes, 100% superwash merino, and the color is winter wheat. That's the cake, so beautiful. I just love how the texture is showing up on the sock. It's coming out a little bit more yellow because I have the big overhead light on in this room. So not quite accurate, but we will work with it because it's gloomy outside. Typically my favorite method of working my socks is knitting not 2 at a time on the same long cord like magic loop, but working them at the same time on their separate needles. So whether that is magic loop or 9-inch circulars, I like having each sock going because that prevents some of that second sock syndrome. But I've been too lazy to split any cakes, so I'm just working them 1 at a time. So this is just sock 1. I definitely need to get some more 9-inch circular needles. I have plenty of 32-inch for magic loop. I did we're setting up the tree, and I have just a container that has like Christmas decor, old Christmas bags, tins, anything that I could save. And in one of the tins, I found a gift card to McKinney Knittery, which is a yarn store somewhat close to me. And it was a Christmas gift that I got last year from, I believe, my in-laws. And I thought I lost it. It was just in the tin. So I found some extra yarn money to spend. So I will probably make a trip to the knittery between now and Christmas, maybe after Christmas, in case I get another gift card and get some more 9-inch circulars. So that was a fun surprise. Next work in progress. This one is always hard to show just because it is so large, but it is my DK Jelly Blanket. It is the Jelly Roll Blanket by KF Jones. I'm knitting the DK version. So I have it in a huge bag. I believe this is the El Grande size by the Bay Bag Co. So good. I don't think, yeah, that's right, she's not selling bags anymore. I don't know if she's doing only wholesale. I forget her latest update, but I think whatever's left out there anywhere, whether it's at your local yarn store, I think that's it. I got this at a trunk show at Juju Knits last year, I think, but I love it. It's great. It has so many pockets. If you don't have one of these, I'm so sorry. They're so good. Maybe she'll come back one day. Who knows? But this is the DK Jelly Blanket. I am knitting these on size US 6, which is 4mm needles. These are on my signature, I cannot talk this morning, Signature Needle Arts needles. They are no longer in business. This is the only pair of needles I have from them, and I regret not getting them sooner because they are so good. Like the actual perfect combination of grippy and slidey at the same time. Like, it's great. Okay, so back to the project. So let's figure out how I'm gonna show this. Last time I showed the blanket, I believe I showed that I had just finished strip 5 of this. Over the past 2 weeks, I started strip 6, and I'm in the middle of that. So since last time I started strip, I'll try to show the colors. This is just miscellaneous yarn scraps. It's all fingering weight, and I'm holding it double to get DK. This is where I am at now. And this is what I'm knitting from. No idea, no idea where this yarn is from. This is just scraps that I get from my friends. I think my friend Katrina gave me this one. And I'm close to finishing strip 6. This is how much I have left to knit before I get to the edge. And then once I finish this strip, I will go back and extra weave in my ends and then start a new strip. Maybe. We'll talk about that when I talk about goals. But I really enjoyed knitting on this past week. 2 weeks. However long it's been. But I usually grab it when other projects get to the point of like, I don't want to think about what I have to do because I have to pay a little bit more attention to it. Okay, the next 2 projects I have to show are new cast-ons. So let's get excited for that. First new cast-on is a pair of socks. I currently have this project in my knit pearl bag from Prep Eclectic. It is a wireframe bag. I love this. So here's the sock. I am working these cuff down on 9-inch circulars. And this is just, I'll show all the yarns in a second here. But I did, I believe 20 rounds in the cuff, German twisted cast on, 2x2 ribbing. I believe it's 20 rounds. And then this is 30, I think I just finished, yeah, 30 rounds for the leg. This is ready to start the heel. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do for the rest of the yarn. So here's the yarn I have so far. This is the cuff. No idea what yarn this is. Leg. This might, I don't think it's Knit Picks. Could be, possibly. I know this is Heathered Handmaids. This is a tweed. This is gonna be the heel. So if you can picture that together. And then I need to weigh this. Hold on, stand by. This is 29.5 grams right now. Plus whatever I've used here, I don't know, because I don't want to do math of how much is in the cuff and then how much is in the leg. Originally, my plan was to have the cuff and toe, this gray tweed, the leg and the foot this orange, and the heel this blue. But I don't think that this is enough yarn to get through 2 socks. And I don't feel like playing yarn chicken with it. I'd rather just cut it short and know that the socks are going to be consistent, since I did not split the cake before and I'm not working them 2 at a time, so I can make sure they match up as I go along. So I think the orange will stop here. I'll do the heel in the blue, and then I think I'm gonna pick a different yarn for the foot, and then still have this as the toe. Excuse me, because this should be enough for a toe, another toe, and a cuff, I think. Unless I change my mind and just make each piece completely different yarn. So I need to go through my yarn and see what I have left in my scraps to do that and see kind of what goes together. So I'm not sure, but I really love how the colors look together. Again, the yellow light from the room is making it look a little bit lighter, brighter. But yeah, so I need to make some decisions on these. And these will be another pair of socks that go into the community tiny pantries. So I'm trying, I don't know, I think I'm gonna knit the foot a little bit longer on this one. I'm just knitting in adult medium or a size medium in these socks, because I don't know any counts for anyone's sock or foot other than my own, so I'm just trying to modify it where I can in the foot, in the count, stitch count, because I'm doing 64 stitches. I'm just following the Crazy Sock Lady, her vanilla sock on 9-inch circulars pattern, in doing that with the heel flap and gusset. So that's that, new cast on and whip. Next, whip and new cast on, I have in a project bag made by my friend Katrina. It's just like a little camping scene, super cute. So I cast on another Manhattan beanie, or Manhattan hat. It's called a Manhattan hat. I need to remember that. But it is a 1x1 beanie. Since I know that I have enough yarn with the DK version, because I knit an adult medium, and that used less than 100 grams, I picked another DK yarn that I had in my stash. And this is, I don't know if it's Roan or Rowan. It's DK, and then this is the color, oh, this is Primrose Yarn Co., my bad. And the base, I believe, is the Rowan DK, which is a 3-ply DK, 230 yards per 100 grams. And this is 60% American superwash merino and 40% domestic non-superwash merino. Primrose Yarn Co. Okay. Yeah, and then the colorway is Wanderlust. And then here is the cake, a beautiful burgundy wine color. And then, gosh, I just dropped my yarn. Knitting these on the same needles, a US size 6, which is 4mm needles. This is what I've done so far this past week. I did a German twisted cast on for the brim. You could do, okay, so the hat itself comes in a couple different options for how you want to wear the beanie. You could do a single brim fold or a double brim fold. I'm doing the double brim fold, and so the pattern said you could do a tubular cast on if you're doing a single, just to have that neater edge. Since I'm doing the double, that doesn't really concern me. So I just did a German twisted cast on and then started my 1x1 rib immediately after that. I've done a tubular cast on one time. I knit a hipster beanie by Petite Knit a few years ago, I want to say. And so I learned how to do the tubular cast on and the whole setup, Rose having to do with that. I did try it again with this one just to see if I could still do it. And yes, I can do it, but it's just so hard for me to keep track of like where I am. One, because I have to actively like say out like, okay, that was a knit, now I do a purl, now I do a knit, now I do a purl. If I stop and put it down, I have trouble getting the yarn back on my fingers the way it should be to set up for whatever stitch I have next. As you cast on it, it travels off the needle onto the cord, the stitches get twisted. It's just, to me, too cumbersome. I'm not that concerned about the finish. I think the German twisted cast on still looks neat enough, and it gives it that stretch that I want, so I'm not too concerned. Especially since this is going to be folded up into itself. But that's what I've done so far. I need to remember to put progress keepers on all my projects now that I've shown them to you. That is all the projects that I've been working on lately. So let's talk about some weekly goals. Goal number 1, on my Hermione socks, I would like to get through the heel. I believe I am 2 rows away from the heel. I think I just need to finish the pattern repeat that I'm in the middle of, and then I can start the heel flap and gusset. These socks are just going to be the solid color of the yarn that I'm using, that Madeline Tosh, so I don't need to do anything there. And then I'd like to do the heel of the vanilla socks that I'm working on, and that'll be a heel flap and gusset as well. And then I also need to decide what to do for the foot. I need to go through my yarn, so I need to add that to my goal list because I did not write that down because I kind of just decided here with you. And then on my Manhattan hat, I would like to get to half the length that I need this hat to be before I start decreases. So I believe for the size that I'm knitting, the pattern calls for knitting 12.5 inches before starting decreases. So I'd like to get to 6 inches. I'm about halfway up to this next coming week, which I think is doable for all these goals since I don't have any larger projects that I'm knitting on right now. And then it is not a goal necessarily to finish the strip of the DK blanket that I'm working on right now. If I happen to pick that up and knit on it after I've kind of hit some other goals, then that's fine, but that's not a main goal. I think that after I finish this strip that I'm on, it's gonna go back into hibernation, and I'm gonna pick up my Afghan again because I still have a square that I need to finish, block, and seam in to the Afghan, and I still need to work on the border of the Afghan as well. So I think that is going to come out of hibernation, and the jelly roll blanket is going to go back in. We'll see how I'm feeling. It's like Christmas time, and like the Afghan is almost essentially done, but not. But I can at least wear it and have it covering me while, well, once I finish the square, add that in, and then work on the border. So you might see the Afghan next week. Maybe. We'll see. Yep, so those are my goals for the upcoming week. I almost forgot to talk about, so last episode, I talked about wanting to start another garment for myself, and I have some yarn that I got from Pearls and Postulates from Fiberfest this past year. Let me get that and show you and talk through that. Okay, so I believe this was their, I believe this was their show colorway, and it is called Escape Velocity. It's got blues, purples, some browns that kind of look orangey, and so many different things in there. So beautiful. So I got 3 skeins of this on their Harris sock base, which is 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I am obsessed with these skeins that I got. A lot of their other skeins definitely had more of like the tealy blue in there. And I was kind of on the fence. I still loved the color, but when I found it with more of like the purples and burgundies in there, I dug to find some pretty consistent skeins that could go together in a garment. Originally, I was going to knit a fingering weight ranunculus with these, but since I already knit a DK, I was unsure if I wanted to knit another ranunculus so soon, but I really want to use this yarn. But part of me doesn't want to undo the skeins because of how beautiful they look together. But I was looking and looking and looking through Ravelry. I couldn't think of it in the advanced search, and I think what I landed on is making a cumulus, the cumulus blouse by Petite Knit with these, which originally I wanted to do a pattern that had some texture to it, but I think I just really want these colors to shine and like stand out on their own. So just a straight stockinette pullover. I'm definitely gonna have to change the needle size because the cumulus blouse uses, I think, 2 strands of like a lace weight, so maybe mohair or surrey, I believe, and this is just fingering. So I think I'm gonna actually have to gauge swatch, but I'm scared to gauge swatch because I only have 3 skeins and I'm gonna hold it single. But I've been looking at project pages again, and I think people have done it with like 2. So I don't know. I'm nervous. I don't want to gauge and kind of just want to see what it knits at because I can always rip it out. It's easier to save the yarn there than it is for a gauge, especially if you swatch the gauge in the round and like cut it and all that. So I don't know. I'm having trouble committing to the starting the actual project, but I so badly want to knit with this yarn. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a cumulus blouse. I believe that's all the knitting stuff now that I've talked about my upcoming yarn plans. Well, no, I guess I could kind of walk through my December knitting plans. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and my 4 whips. My goals for the month of December. Again, I mentioned that I'm finishing the 6th strip, the strip that I'm on. The strip that I'm on for the DK jelly blanket isn't a weekly, like I need to finish that within the next week. It's just a goal for the upcoming month. I also want to actually block and finish my novice cardigan so I can wear it since it has been chilly. I need to find buttons for that. And then my last goal for the month of December so far is finish that last Afghan square. And then no finished objects for December so far. November was pretty good. I finished my ranunculus, a pair of scrappy socks, a muscle burra, and then my Manhattan hat. So that's kind of what's going on this month, and hopefully starting something with this. Okay. Reading, watching, listening. I finished reading The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And then I finished 2 books since then. I am back on a reading kick. I finished, I believe it's called The 7-Year Slip. I'll put a picture or something here because I cannot remember who it's by off the top of my head. And then I read Expiration Dates. I enjoyed The 7-Year Slip much more than Expiration Dates. I still liked the concept of Expiration Dates, but the story just, I don't know, didn't do what I wanted it to do without a better explanation. But they were fun reads, quick reads. Very much enjoyed those. Watching, my husband and I are watching the new season of Silo. I believe we missed this past weekend's episode, so we need to catch up there. And then I've been watching Christmas movies. So I've watched so far 4 Christmases, The Holiday, and Elf. And like, no, we haven't watched the Charlie Brown Christmas yet. Listening, Christmas music. I have a whole playlist that I've made that has a ton of different Christmas music on it, and Spotify Wrapped is out, and so I've been listening to my top songs of 2024, and I'll leave both of those linked down below. All right, we have made it through without waking my son up. He did stir a little bit, but let's wrap her on up with 3 simple joys. I am going to do 3 simple joys, and then we'll sign off because I need to start making breakfast for the day. So 3 simple joys. Simple joy number 1 is Christmas lights. We put our tree up last weekend, and it's a pre-lit tree. We've had this thing for like 8 years, and we plug it in and only like 1 string of lights was working. My husband tried to fix it. He checked the little, what is it called? The, why can't I think of what it's called? Breaker? No, fuse. He checked the fuses on the lights. He tried replacing some bulbs. We called it quits. And rather than buy a whole new tree, we stripped all the lights off of the pre-lit tree, which was some labor. And then he went to Home Depot, found some new lights, and he restrung the tree so beautifully. You would have thought this is a pre-lit tree because of how like many lights and how entangled that, like, he just did it so well. So it was super, super sweet. And I just love how it looks. And now our living room looks all cozy at night. So that's simple joy number 1. Simple joy number 2 is hot chocolate. So I love hot chocolate. And so I went to the store and bought some, but I love a good just like hot chocolate, like after dinner sweet treat, and just like being curled up with a book or my knitting or just like by the Christmas tree. It's so cute. I love it. I've had a few cups of hot chocolate so far this December. And then simple joy number 3, I got a massage this past weekend. Oh, and it was so needed. Like, I never realized how much my body holds until I go get my massage, and it is so good. It was very needed. It's been a while since I've gone, so I'm gonna try to go more regularly, but that was really nice to enjoy. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate those who come back each week, pretty much whenever we're not sick or something crazy is going on here. So I appreciate you coming back, and I hope you were able to enjoy me talking about my projects. So with that being said, I need to get breakfast ready. I'm getting hungry. I need to reheat my coffee because it is cold. So until next time, stay caffeinated.